Welcome to the G3X Podcast, where it's all God, Gym, Grind, unfiltered. This is episode 29 of the podcast, and super excited today. Our special guest is David. Been wanting to do a podcast with him for a while. Finally able to have him on board. David, how are you, man?
I'm feeling great. How about you?
Doing great, doing great. Super excited to have you, man. Super excited for this podcast, and we're gonna have an amazing conversation. You have an amazing story for sure. It's very powerful. And for the audience who isn't aware of David, of course, I connected through David through social media, also through a brand before as well. That I think we were like affiliates and so forth. And I think that's how we all started following each other. And then from there, I saw his content, prepping for bodybuilding, and just his cool discipline and everything. And I'm like, hey, I would love to have you on the podcast. Are you interested? He's like, absolutely, let's do it. And here we are now. So it's awesome. The beauty of social media when you connect with awesome people like yourself, right? And
Yeah.
so I wanted to tell you, David, ultimately, let me not steal your thunder, for the audience who doesn't know who you are, give yourself a little introduction, what you do, where you're from, and we take it from there, man.
Awesome. Well, my name is David. Real last name is Muffley, but online everything is Davey Addict. It's my old wrestling name. I'm a bodybuilder, coach, athlete, personal trainer, hopefully content creator at some point. Trying to push that out there as much as I can. And yeah, aside from that, I mean, I just focus on the bodybuilding and trying to put out as much content as I can without stealing anyone's brand of content and like their own style. So trying to find my own niche audience there with
Nice. I like it. I like it. No, I think that's a beautiful thing. 100%. Myself, I mean, we're both deep in social media, so I see it myself. You do see a lot of repeat content. I mean, even myself, I'm like, oh, this
yeah,
is funny. Let me do it my way. But it's cool when you like basically create your own ideas from scratch, or you give it your own twist of things. But yeah, there's some people who's like a straight. You could tell like straight copy paste on threads, especially. I like using threads a lot where people are just commenting. And it's like, hey, I literally saw this exact thread like 5 scrolls ago. Like that's straight up copy paste. And then sometimes it's
yeah,
funny. You see some of the comments, and then like someone screenshot it, and it's like 5, 6 different accounts all with the exact same thread or post. I'm like, wow, let's talk
yes.
about creativity.
Yeah, it's the same
you
with
know,
TikTok too, man. I see like people will post one TikTok and it's like all of a sudden everyone's got their own. It's like the exact same format where they do the green screen effect and they talk and they're saying the same stuff. I'm like, cool, like super original. I've already seen this four
right?
times today.
I know exactly what you mean. No, I love that. And I know we're going to be getting deeper into the content creation later on in this podcast. So I love it.
Yeah.
But what I also, like I said, I know you have an amazing story when it comes into the fitness. So if you want to like elaborate, I know there was a point in your life, as you mentioned there on the forum when you were filling it out, that there's a little dark chapter in your life, being able to
Yeah.
overcome that. Talk to me about that, because I know many of the listeners here could be experiencing a dark chapter in their life right now, and then you could be that source of, let's say, inspiration to overcome that, going through it and so forth. So talk to me a little bit about that, and then how that led you to possibly, I'm guessing, fitness or bodybuilding and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. So I think everyone at some point in life is going to go through something dark and something traumatic that they have to overcome. The big thing there is finding that aspect where you can overcome it and not just letting it completely swallow you and overcome you. Mine started at a young age. I was molested as a kid by a family member, and that happened for years until eventually it stopped. Apparently, I was too old, maybe. I don't know. And that really messed me up for a long time. And I held on to that guilt of saying, well, it's my fault. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. And then it finally took, I got to a really bad place going through a divorce and going through uh, the separation and losing the kids and all that, like realizing what was actually going to happen. And I did try to commit suicide, and I ended up in a mental hospital for 5 days because New Year's Eve is a holiday. And so when it's on a Friday, everything's closed for the weekend. And so spent a whole week in there, but it was so beneficial for me. Like I was sitting there and just talking with people because, one of the big things they do is you have to sit there in your group and you have to talk about stuff. You have to talk about your trauma and you have to talk about where it's made you you and how it has become a part of you, but has made you unique with that situation. And that was one where, sitting there talking to the therapist and having her explain, like, 1 in 4 kids is sexually abused as a child. And it's like, that's a number I didn't expect. So I'm like, okay,
Wow.
it's good to know that I'm not alone, but it's horrible to know that I'm not alone because it's just
Right.
awful situation. But where that put me, especially in the hospital when I was talking with people, I met great people in there that were just awesome that really changed my mindset. And one of them, he's a rapper. We really connected, and because he also skateboards. And so we started connecting with music and talking and what he wanted to do. And we started pushing each other like, well, dude, when you get out, you should do this. And we kept it after we both got out and were gone. We kept in touch. We still stay in touch. We still talk, and he's still doing his rap thing. I listen to all his songs. I try and put his music in my videos as much as I can. Like it's just awesome to see and to find somebody where you get that connection through being in this horrible spot where you were both in a very dark spot and tried to do very bad things to yourself, but you come out on the other side with that positive outlook of going, well, I met this dude and we were talking and we connected about this and that, and he's pushing me to do this and I'm pushing him to do that. And having that when you like leave that place and then staying in contact with them was so cool. And I also had a couple people come and visit me while I was in there, and they were really beneficial for me in a positive mindset where they're like, opening up with me and telling me there's traumas too, and using that to then be like, okay, well, dude, you need to start doing this. You should do this. And that's when I was like, I got the idea of going into bodybuilding. I'd been in a gym probably about 9 years already. I used to
Wow.
wrestle like WWF wrestling, and I had a
Nice.
tryout in New York with a company called Dragon Gate USA, and they liked me, but they said I was too small because I was 135 pounds, which that also extends back to the dark side and the trauma because I did have eating disorders. I was anorexic and bulimic. So I went from 270 pounds to 135 pounds in about a
Wow.
year. So it was horrible. But them telling me you need to get bigger was an eye opener. And I came back from New York, and 2 days later, I had a gym membership, and it's the same gym that I've been at for 12 years now, which is a block from my apartment. I walk there every morning. But it was
Nice.
very beneficial for me because I got into a gym and I realized, whoa, like this is fun. Like this is cool. This is something I enjoy doing. And slowly that escalated some more. And then I started finding some people online on YouTube, and I was like, okay, well, I like their content and like what they're talking. And it's like people that are like a big one for me was John Meadows. And he's like, well, this is how you do this. This is a workout you should do with this. And hearing him explain this stuff, I was like, man, that's really cool. Like that's very interesting to me. And I started connecting with it more and more. And then I got certified by NASM, a National Academy of Sports Medicine. I still maintain, I love the fact that I'm certified, but I still maintain that you learn just as much, if not more, from YouTube. Like YouTube is probably one of the most beneficial things I've ever witnessed in my life because the amount of content that people put on there, it's amazing. Like you can find anything on there. And it like yes, you can find bad stuff on there, but you find so much good stuff. And that's like that's the fun thing with social media is that there's a lot of negativity, but there's always going to be that positivity too. And so it's
Yeah.
just about weeding out that negative and only focusing on the positives. So I
100%.
got more into bodybuilding and fitness. And then after everything, and I got out of the hospital, a buddy of mine was like, well, dude, why don't you try and compete? I'm like, oh, I could never do that. No, I don't think I could ever do that. And then I was talking to a girl, things went south really quick. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what? Like, it was that like, I'm going to show you moment where I'm like, I'm going to prove that I can like be more than just a normal person with a 9 to 5 job. And I was like, I'm going to do a show. And I prepped for my first show on 3.5 weeks, and I won in 2 divisions, took first place and qualified for nationals. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. So that's where it started. And it's been about a year and a half since then. And I've done four shows. My last one was the Detroit Pro in, I think in February or March, maybe May, maybe April, somewhere around in there. I did the Detroit Pro, which was a lot of fun, and especially just
Nice.
being on the same show and like seeing Wesley Vissers and Matt Grego and Martin
Wow.
Fitzwater was there and Samson Dowda was there, and I'm like, this is insane. So
Samson, that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, you don't realize how big these guys are
How
until you're
huge
standing
they
next
are,
to
right?
them.
Until you're next to them.
It's brutal because I'm like, I felt big, and then I'm standing next to Samson. I'm like, I'm small.
I know. That's so funny. I remember once a friend of mine, maybe like 2 years ago, he's like, "Hey man, I see you're getting like back then I was getting like more into the gym when I started the clothing brand and everything of that sort." So
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey man, let me take you to the Olympia event. It was back in November in Orlando, like 2 years ago, and they did it in Orlando." And I'm like, "Sure." And I knew some of the competitors, but not all of them. But when I was seeing both all the guys, all the girls, like crazy jacked and huge, I'm like, love this. This is a
Yeah.
vibe. Like this is so cool, and it just
Yeah.
puts you on a different mindset. Like, hey, what you think you're putting in the work, but hey, there's people working even more. So it just helps you, like,
Yes.
I would say, not be complacent. Like, let me get back to
Yes.
work. Let me put in more of the grind. Let me get more discipline. Let me get more serious with my everything else. So it's super cool. It's like it's a whole different world.
And being complacent is like the worst thing you could ever do in life. Like you should always strive for more or to be better or to move more or to get outside more, to be more active, to be a better father, to be a better whatever you want to be in life. You can always strive for more. And so when people become
Mhm.
complacent and they're like stuck and they grow those roots, I'm like, ooh, that, that's a bad sign.
Yep. No, I love how you mentioned that because, as you know, here, one of our phrases here is basically "God, Gym, grind." And what I like to say, especially on that grind aspect, is, hey, push through, like keep pushing through, keep striving to be better. And ultimately, hey, life is always going to throw you challenges. Like, hey, let's say yourself that, horrible situation, you found yourself younger and having to go through that. But you're here now, you had some dark spots, but you pushed through. I would say you grinded it out. You had, that support team, going to therapy,
Yes.
etc., and then being able to overcome that. Where, if someone was maybe complacent, they would have just stopped there, like, hey, it's, let's say, my fault, and, got it where the guilt took
Yeah.
over, but you were able to overcome that. And so I think not being complacent can apply to so many aspects in life. Maybe sometimes some
Yes.
people just see it in fitness, or like, hey, you're in a plateau, you're stuck in the same way. But I would say getting complacent is in so many things, be it in business, be it in fitness, be it in just life in general. I love how you said, hey, trying to be a better father, right? There's always things you can get better at little by little, just putting in the
Yeah.
work and just really being, I would say, self-aware of just, hey, let me do better. Let me try to get better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and if you're not trying to be better, it's like what like nobody wants to get worse at anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you should always be looking to be better, to take that one extra step up, and you can always do
Yep.
more. You can always be better. You can always whatever it is, there's always going to be something you can do more of or more better. So, especially like the grind thing, like I talk to people and they're like, well, what if that never would have happened to you as a kid? I'm like, I don't know where I would be or what I would be, but it doesn't matter because I'm right where I am supposed to be right now. Yes, I had this
Yes.
horrible situation happen to me, but if that didn't happen, all these other things wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have because if like whatever would have happened, or if wrestling would have taken off and I moved to Japan in 2010, nothing like my whole life would have been completely different. I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't look like I do. Like nothing would be the same. So if you're like, yes, as much as it's awful that something like that happened, but that has made me who I am now. And I kind of like who I am. And I've gotten to a point where I'm like, I've made peace with the fact that it happened and that where I am is an attributing factor to how I overcame everything. I had a teacher in high school. His big thing was improvise, adapt, and overcome. He always told us those three things. If you live by those three things, you can never do wrong in life because you should always be doing better. And so, I mean, I still maintain that. There's a reason why I still remember that. And I still say it almost every single day. It's like, you have to find a way to overcome that. And if it's a dark time in your
Yes.
life, or if it's a rut that you're in, you're struggling to gain weight in the gym, you're struggling to, progress with a lift, or you're struggling with work, you always need to be looking for that next way to elevate yourself up. And nobody can do it for you. Like you have to put in the work yourself. That's the grind part. You have to put that in, not anybody else. What I achieve in my life has nothing to do with anything that somebody else has achieved. It's me doing it. So I think, especially with complacency, like if you get complacent and you become so comfortable with what you are right now, it's just a recipe for disaster because you're going to stay there. It's so monotonous. You're never going to move anywhere. And you don't want to be stuck in the mud. You always want to progress more and more
Mm-hmm.
with everything in life.
100%. No, well, beautifully well said, David. 100%. I like how you said that, like things that happened in the past. I've said that actually. It's so cool you say it because when you experience it, it's like as they say, great minds think alike. And what I mean by that is like, hey, when you experience something, we all think in that same kind of pattern where it's like, there's that famous quote from Steve Jobs, which I mentioned it in past episodes before, where it's like, he said this, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You could only connect the dots looking back, which is exactly like
Yes.
your story. Hey, all this has happened. I don't know where I would be if that didn't happen. But like you said, I'm okay with it. I'm at peace with it because it got me to where I'm at now, and I'm happy where I'm at now with your
Yeah.
fitness, mindset, health, etc. And I can identify with the exact same thing because same thing in my story is more of the typical like heartbreak, go to the gym type of story, etc. But eventually, once I started seeing my own progress, certain changes in my body, I'm like, wow, this is actually super cool. I started seeing the gym more as from an outlet of like, hey, using that as to like let go of the pain more as a part of life that I just really enjoy and just helping me to become better, right? Improve my body, improve my health, fitness, which eventually led me to my own way of like God gym grind, like saying that to myself as a way of just staying locked in, staying focused, etc. Which eventually, like, hey, you know what? We could definitely create a brand that it's a community about that God gym grind lifestyle, of just like pushing through, keep going, God first, and just not quitting, always trying to be better. And here we are now, right? So same with you. If someone say, hey, what if that didn't happen? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. But I'm happy that it did because even though, yeah, at that point in time, it sucked, right? It hurt, it sucked, it was
Yeah.
horrific, right? But you look back and you're like, wait, you know what? That actually got me to where I'm at now because if not, who knows what would happen. So it's just cool how life works. And I love hearing it from you because I've said it so many times myself in different podcast episodes. And then hearing someone else say it too is like, hey, it's just a way, we've heard the saying God's plans, God's timing, and life has just a way of taking you where you should be
Yes.
if you like keep going with it, right? So it's cool how whatever experiences you have, but you take that instead of, I would say, and you probably heard it before too, instead of like the victim mindset is like, hey, what can I learn from it or where can I get better from it? And then that changes your
Yes.
perspective completely.
100%. And a lot of people get that mentality, the victim mindset, and they let that become who they are. And it's like, you got to get out of that. You got to take what happened to you and treat it like it's that learning experience. I think I heard it first time in school, like every bad thing that happens to you is going to be a learning experience for later. And that's the same
Yes.
thing as you're talking that Steve Jobs quote. I mean, you can't connect the dots in front of you, only the ones behind you. But it's
Mhm.
like where you are right now is where you're supposed to be right now. You're not going to
Yes.
be anywhere else because this is where you are. You can't be anywhere else. Now, there's
Mhm.
things you could have changed, and it may have changed where you are, but you never want to just be in that looking back mindset either. Like you have to look forward. You have to be looking at the positive side and the like what's to come as opposed to well, what if? And it's like if you're only focusing on the past and the negatives, you get swallowed up and nobody
Yep.
wants to do that. You got to focus on the positives and focus on the right now. So like, let's say I'm on my way to work and I get a flat tire. Man, that sucks. Like that sucks really bad. But who knows what could have happened? Maybe
Mhm.
5 minutes up the road, somebody would have ran a red light. So I could have
So
been
true.
hit. You don't know. So it's like,
You
you know
don't
what?
know.
It's a learning, like a learning experience, but it's also, it's just what had to happen. So you can
Yep.
take it as being the victim or you can take it as that's life. Things happen. You just keep moving on.
Exactly. You just keep moving on. 100%. That's how it is. That's how it is. Exactly. Well said, David. Love it. Now, let me also ask you the following then, and talking about like that moving on aspect. One thing I wanted to connect with you, as you mentioned, you got your certifications when it came to training. Talk to me a little bit about that. Let's say, someone may be struggling with some consistency in their fitness journey or looking for some guidance, talk to me about that. Like, let's say I always like asking trainers this question because everyone has different responses. It's just cool seeing like, what's your advice? Let's say someone wants to get into fitness, they're looking for a trainer. What would you consider a good trainer for them to look into? Like, let's say they're looking to hire you, like, hey, look, these are the things to look into for a good trainer that will really connect with you and so forth. What would you say that would be?
So there's a couple things that I think are really important. And I've said it before with like online, I posted videos. If your personal trainer that you're using looks like they need to hire a personal trainer, you're probably paying the wrong person. Like I made the
That's true.
comparison one time. I was like, would you rather have, like, if you needed heart surgery, are you going to trust somebody that's read 100 books but never performed a heart surgery, or someone who never read the books but have performed 100 heart surgeries successfully? Like, you can have all the book knowledge in the world, but if you can't put that to practical in world use, it doesn't matter. So if you're a personal trainer, look, everyone can have amazing knowledge. It's true. You can go on YouTube and watch a video on how to do whatever. It's out there. The knowledge is out there. And you can read that, or you can read a book. You can listen to a podcast and you can retain all the information. But if you can't put it into practice, why should somebody else expect you to be able to put that into practice for them and develop their routine or their diet or their nutrition for them if you can't even do it? So I think
Hmm.
having someone that knows that and can put it to practice as well is huge, but also not having a personal trainer that is like the yes man. You want the personal trainer that's going to hold you accountable. You want the coach that's going to hold you accountable for, maybe you're doing lat pull downs and that personal trainer in your gym is going, okay, good job, 2 more reps. You're not doing good. You're doing 50 pounds and you just did 10 easy reps and you're not even breaking a sweat.
Mm,
You're not working hard.
yeah.
Like, it's a
Yeah.
workout. You're supposed to be working. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be comfortable. You should want to be better. Grind, push forward. You don't want to live in the mediocrity of being complacent with your workouts either. So if you're like, oh, yeah, my personal trainer keeps telling me how good I'm doing. I got 10 reps of this and then I did 10 reps of this. I'm like, why'd you stop at 10? If you got them easy, you should have been going for another 10. You
Yeah.
push
Yeah.
yourself. You want to experience that. You know, like, I know the big thing right now, a lot of people online are like, oh, I don't understand why people grunt in the gym or make noise or yell. And it's like, go back and watch Dorian
Going hard
Yates from
enough.
1994. Come on. Like, you want to talk about somebody, he's yelling at himself, or Tom Platz in the 80s when he's yelling at himself and yelling at his girlfriend in the gym who left him for his training partner. And he's brokenhearted about it. So he's over there yelling her name in the mirror. She's not even there, but he's using that to push himself to do 5 more reps. Like, pushing yourself, that's part of the process. And if you're like, they call it progressive overload, but you have to progress at some point. Like, if you're doing sets of 10 and you're looking the same for 10 years, man, something's got to change. So if somebody's
Mm,
looking to hire a personal trainer, they should look the part, they should have the knowledge of the part, but they should also not be okay with just telling you, good job. They should be okay with saying, not bad, but you could have done 2 more. You want that person that can push you.
yeah.
And some people don't want that. There's a lot of people that go to the commercial gyms.
So true.
They want a personal trainer that's just going to tell them, they give them the, uh, what do you call it? It's like the gratification. You're doing good.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people just want that, and that's fine. Not everyone wants to be a bodybuilder. Not everybody wants to be a CrossFit superstar, do whatever. But that's the great thing with fitness is that it's everything. It's not just bodybuilding. It's not just CrossFit. It's not just running or cycling or rowing. Like, there's so many different things that should be, like, you have to find your way of fitness. So for some people, it's powerlifting. For some people, it's running on a treadmill for an hour and a half a day. Everyone's got their things that they enjoy doing, and that's what you should find. And that's another important thing with finding a coach or a personal trainer is finding someone that can connect that with you and go, well, you seem to really enjoy this. Why don't we try this? Let's try and move more towards this
Right.
side of fitness. So I think there's like I said, fitness can be all inclusive. It's not just one. There's such a wide variety of fitness. You just have to find what is best for you.
I love it. Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's really well said. Ultimately, finding someone that structures a plan according to what you're liking, but at the same time pushes you. Like, hey, pushes you a little bit, like you said, to like be better, because we all need that push. Just like you were saying early on in your story with your friend or the rapper, where like now you guys push each other to like, hey, he's pushing me to do this, I'm pushing him to do that. It's like, and that just helps. Like when it comes to accountability, right? It always just helps to have that
Yes.
extra person. Of course, like we talk about, discipline is keyword. even if you don't feel like doing it, you have the discipline to get it done. But beyond the discipline, it also helps at times having someone else to just kind of give you that little push, because hey, we're all humans at the end of the day, right? So sometimes we're just not feeling it, but having that little extra push just can go a long way. And I love how you said that, just having that person, that coach, where it's like, hey, I know you can do more. That was too easy. And like recognizes that, hey, there's more in you, and pushes what you didn't know you had inside of you. And I think that's cool, because I've been in situations where where I doubted myself in some things, and I had sat one person who believed in me, and I'm like, hey, you know what, thank you, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have gotten out of my comfort zone or out of my shell, because I was doubting myself. But you saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and so thank you. And I think that that goes a long way, and impacts someone for a long time, you know.
It does. It does for
Yep.
sure. Because people can hold on to that. They hold on to that positivity that you feed them. You know,
Hmm.
what we talked about that a little bit with social media. There's so many negatives, but there's also the positives. So like people will focus on the negative comments. Why not focus on that one comment where somebody's like, man, you're looking a lot better than you used to. Or man, like your leg looks good. Instead of people saying, well, your arms are small. Oh,
Yeah,
your
yeah,
back is small, your chest is small. It's like, why don't you focus on the one good comment over there where somebody said, man, you look good? Because
one hundred
that's the
percent.
thing, is that there's so many people out there. There's what, 8.3 billion people in the world, I think is what they say now. So it's like, why focus on those 10 negative comments when you could have 100 positive comments, but we only focus on the negative? And it's just bizarre how people's mindsets have changed over the last 20, 30 years, where even the last 10 years, I mean, with social media, it's just there's so much more now where people look at it and they go, okay, well, I want to do this for social media. I want to look good for this. You're a human. You're not always going to have your makeup done to a T. Your hair's not always going to look the best. You're not always going to be perfectly clean shaven. You're not going to have the prettiest clothes on or the coolest shoes. It's okay to be a human. Not everything is so materialistic.
It's so true, yeah. And I think, and I'm glad that that's a good transition into like the social media aspect, because 100%. And at the same time, we've seen it before, probably certain posts where it's like what the actual footage looked like, and then in post they edit it like to give you a smaller
Yeah.
waist or this and that. It's just like, you can't take anything at face value. And now with AI, let's not even get started on AI
Oh,
videos now, or they're getting more realistic and more realistic,
they
right?
look
So
way
you
too
you might not
real.
even be seeing you might not even be seeing a real person, and you're comparing yourself
Yeah.
to that, right? So it's like something to be aware of for sure. But let me ask you, what decided, okay, you got into your fitness journey, your competitions, as you mentioned, etc. What therefore then made you decide to start like your social media accounts and start sharing content online, in a sense, building your brand, building your community? What got you interested in that?
Well, one of the big things was when I first started prepping for that very first show, I was like, I'm going to do a little series like leading up to the prep where like every day I'm just going to make a video and post it and be like, this is how I feel today. This is what I did today. This is like, talking with other people. And like one of my favorite videos that I ever did was I just walked around the gym. And I was like, I'd stop people like, what got you into a gym and what made you keep coming back? And it's crazy how pretty much all the stories are the same because, once you see the results, oh, well, now I'm hooked. And so
Yeah.
I really lean towards social media with that because I want to see more positive on social media as opposed to negative. A lot of people have no problem tearing everyone else down, but when you have somebody that's saying, hey, you're doing good. Hey, I like that video. Or, hey, I like the way you worded this in that one video. You talked about this and that was big for me. Like stuff like that sticks with people. And there's one of my first videos that I really loved was Seth Ferosi did some videos where he's talking in his car. He's just driving around rambling in his truck. I thought it was so cool because I'm like, this is a real person. Like, yeah, he's a bodybuilder. I see him on the stage, but he's a real person. He's talking about his struggles with his ex-wife. He's talking about the struggles with the kids and starting a business. And well, their last manufacturer of this couldn't get enough of this, so now they're short on this shipment of whatever. It's like it's so cool that social media. A lot of times you only see the good, like you were talking about. People are gonna
Mhm.
edit and post. They're gonna make themselves look better with this or that, but to see somebody who's being so authentic and real and not having a problem tell you like, dude, today sucked. Like today was not a good day. I felt like crap. I was down on myself. I was hard on myself. Like everyone goes through stuff like that. So I think people relate to that more than they will everyone being so happy and it's all rainbows and butterflies. Like life isn't
Aesthetics, yeah.
always positive, you know? Like there's negatives that happen and it's okay. Like if we're human, things happen. It's okay to have that authentic, real side about yourself and show it and share it with people because people are going to resonate more with that than they do happy rainbow butterflies all the time.
No, it's true. Yeah, having that real connection, because the people they connect with that. So then that's how you build like real
Yes.
community and so forth. Love it. What would you say? Let's say, okay, for anyone listening to this, maybe they're wanting to get started in posting content on their fitness journey, but maybe a little scared, maybe still a little hesitant. Any, let's say, advice, tips you would have given your own experience within your community, your content of like people who want to like make a real impact with their social media, not just going viral, but are like
Right.
scared to start. Did you ever have that fear of like being scared to start or anything of that sort?
Oh, I still do. Like I'll still like there's times I hesitate on a video. I'm like, I post it, but man, what are they going to say about this? And I kind of stuttered with this word, but it's like, just post it. Like, just do it. And a buddy of mine who popped off huge on social media in the last like month told me that one day he's like, just post it. Just do it. You're like, just talk. He's like, but the key thing is, especially like you have to know which social media platforms you're using. So I get better
That's true.
like traction on YouTube than I do on TikTok and Instagram. Like Instagram is like, I get no traction on Instagram. Like Instagram doesn't matter anymore to me. But TikTok, I get okay traction, but YouTube is huge for me. And he was talking, he's like,
Oh,
well, the
nice.
problem with TikTok is that you have to hook them in the first 3 seconds of that video. So you have to have your
Yeah.
one punchline that you say that makes them stay for the other 30 seconds of the video. He's like, a lot of your videos, you were talking, but it took you the 30 seconds to get to your point. You got to say your point and then explain why you got there. I'm like, that makes sense because we have no attention span anymore with TikTok. I mean, you scroll, you see something, if it doesn't catch you in that first 3 or 5 seconds, scroll to the next one. And it's just how we are now. Like people have no attention span. So like my long form content on YouTube doesn't do as good as my short form content. And I'm finding that when I post those short videos on TikTok where I get directly to the point and then explain the point after, way better than just a 30-second rant. So yes, you have to know which social media platforms you're posting for because they all have different algorithms. They all have different like things that stick out. But the important thing is just to do it. Like you'll
Hmm.
never know if you don't just do it. So if you're worried about a video, like I get nervous about videos. I'm like, I don't know if I should post it, but just do it. Just post it. The worst that can happen is in a week, maybe you're not getting the traction, delete it. Or wait a day and post another one. Wait a day, post another one. And like a lot of times on TikTok, people are like, I'm going to post 15 videos a day. It's like, well, nobody's going to see your stuff because you're flooding it. And now the algorithm doesn't know where to put you. So it's like, post a video every day and you say your point and then you elaborate. But just the important thing is just to post it and stay consistent with posting it. Because eventually, even if you're consistent and it's like mediocre content, if you're consistent with it, it's going to keep getting pushed and it's going to get further and further and your reach is going to grow just because it's so consistent.
And it's just like the gym. You put in the reps. The more you put in the reps, your muscle gets bigger. The more you post
Yeah,
content consistently, the better you start getting. Because let's say if you're not getting the reach that you're wanting or this and that, it's gonna push you to be like, okay, so how can I improve upon this, or how can I learn about this? And like you said, like when it comes to like the hooks, when it comes to there's like so many things, right? But it really just comes down to like I'm a big Gary Vee fan. So Gary Vee is, if you watch any of his content, he's like, just post the content, like just post the
yeah,
content. Like, who are you? That fear of what other people are gonna say. Like, who cares? Like, there are people on the internet that you'll probably never even meet in real life. So
exactly.
why would you let some total stranger, in a sense, limit your dreams or what you want to do in life because of that fear of someone else's opinion that you'll never meet in life? And when I heard that from that perspective, that really resonated with me, because yeah, I was the same thing. Should I post this? Oh, but what are these people gonna say? And then it's like, well,
Yeah,
am I gonna give these people control over what my dreams or ambitions or
right.
things in life and just never post it because of that? Like, heck no, I'm not giving anyone that power, and let me just post it. And the more you do
Yeah,
it, the more you kind of stop caring less of what comments you get. Sometimes I'll get funny negative comments and I'll just respond back with like some type of joke or something. And then I've gotten responses like, hey, you know what, man, you're so right. Sorry, I was being a dick when I said that comment. It's like, there you go.
Yeah.
You could have argued back, or you take that comment and you kind of twist it for good by knowing,
Yes.
giving a good thoughtful response, and you never know, you just impacted the other person and stuff like that. So it's like not caring what other people say. And another thing that really struck with me, which I think is both Gary Vee and another fan, Alex Hermosi, those are two like entrepreneurs I like seeing a lot of their content. And they're both like, hey, at the end of the day, someone who's doing, you only get hate from someone who's doing less than you, because someone doing better
Yes.
than you isn't going to be hating on your efforts or anything, because they probably been through that same situation in the past before, right? And so when you see it from that perspective, just like you said, hey, post the content, you know, just post it, and then learn from
Post it.
it. Okay. And you start learning what does better, what doesn't do better. And then
Yep.
you kind of build from it. And then don't be scared to try new things as well. If it flops, it flops. But hey, you tried something new, a different form of
Exactly.
content, a different way of whatever. So it's just being yourself, and just, one thing that also resonated, I heard this phrase was like, document, don't create, which is also some words from Gary Vee. And that was pretty cool, because it's like, versus just thinking about what to create, which is like kind of like you're like how you start into fitness, like, hey, I just want to post my journey, my progress into this competition. So you're, in a sense, you're documenting versus
Yes.
creating. And people resonate with that a lot too, because next thing you know, you
They
look
really
back,
do.
you look back at all this footage, you're like, oh snap, I look back at some super old content when I would record, and I would just record for myself. I wasn't even posting to post content. I was just recording for myself. And I would look back at that, I'm like, wow, like sometimes you say to yourself, I haven't grown, I haven't changed, I still feel small. And then you look at some other pictures, like, okay, no, you know what? Let me give myself some grace. I've made progress. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to get bigger. Like we all want to get bigger, this and that, stronger, but I've definitely made progress. Let me not cut myself short.
And there's a musician probably from the like early 2000s, and people gave him a lot of flack for what like his music, because a lot of people didn't like it. And he had a comment to like to everyone's hate, and he's like, "Look, there's so many people in the world. If 1,000 of you don't like my song, but one of you does, at the end of the day, yeah, that like what 1,000 times." At the time, I think there was 7.6 billion people in the world. So you may have 7 million haters, but you're going to have a million people who love it. So like, does it does that really matter? There's always going to be people that hate your stuff. There's always going to be people that love it. So why don't you focus on the people that love it and not the negative ones? And
Yeah,
I took that and I go, man, like, yeah, like there's so
it
many people like,
hits.
I like your music. Somebody else says it's trash, but it doesn't matter. Like, you're still posting it because you like it. But even if one out of 1,000 people like it, you're still going to have a million people that love it. And a million people is a lot. I mean,
Yeah, 100%.
and, how many people do we actually know where we're like, we know over a million people in real life? I talk to a million people. No, you don't. Like, you may have 30 million followers on Instagram, but you talk to about 15 people a day.
Yeah, so true.
You have to realize that yes, social media is awesome and it can be great, but there's so much pressure that comes
Beyond.
along with that to feel like you need to appease everyone else and please everyone else. It's like you got to let that go and focus on what you like, because what you like is going to attract the people like you, not the people that are just following people.
Yep, yep. No, it's spot on. Yeah, just like you were saying earlier, be yourself, be your authentic self,
Yeah.
and then people will identify with that. No, absolutely. Because nowadays too, also with the algorithm changes and everything is, yeah, and you probably see like heard this yourself, is like followers at this point in time don't really matter as much as before, because the algorithm just shows you stuff you're interested in, what you're engaging. So then, if you're just posting things that you like, hey, there's definitely got to be other people in the world that also like what you like. So be yourself, and then the algorithm will just by nature show that to whoever's
Yes.
interested in it, and you'll
Yes.
get better at it, at producing that content, etc. And that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Man, I love what you said. And I've had a few guests in the past who are also deep into content creation, where that's what they say is like, hey, being real, authenticity, being yourself, and, creating a real community versus just, a bunch of followers, and like they don't even engage, right? So I'd rather have
Yeah.
3,000 followers, 1,000 followers, but we're all like cool with each other than, like you said, 30 million, and you literally only speak to like 10, 15 people in life. And, maybe 10, 15 is still too much. Maybe you just speak to like 3, 4 people,
Yeah.
you know?
And, but see, and that's the thing. Like, you can have 30 million followers, but you have 5 comments on your video. Or you can have 1,400 followers and you have 100 comments on your video. Well,
Yeah.
like, no offense, but I'd rather have the 100 comments because you're interacting with people. And like, that's one of
Yeah.
my favorite things about YouTube is that I get more comments on YouTube. And so I can interact back and forth with people as opposed to like, I don't care if I've got 30 million followers. Would it be cool? Yeah, I'm sure it would be. But I also want that connection with people and that like human aspect of social media, which is a weird way to put it because social media is so fake. But to have that human aspect of social media where
Mhm.
you can talk and you can interact and communicate and connect with people is so cool.
Yep. And that's, for example, the big reason why I love doing these podcasts, because same thing, people that normally, yeah, like, let's say ourselves, we followed each other, we will support each other's content, but this is like our first time, like, speaking in a
Yeah.
sense, face to face, right? And so what I love about the podcast is that it's giving me the opportunity of talking with different people that I connected through social that normally, yeah, they'll see my post, I'll see theirs, we'll comment, we'll like or reshare it, etc. But it kind of stays at that, you know,
Yeah.
not superficial level, but you could call it kind of like top surface level, nothing
Yeah.
super deep, or you just get to know the person more, like, oh wow, they're a cool person. Whereas with these podcasts, it's giving me the opportunity where different people I've connected, like, hey, we have a good conversation, good 45 minutes, 50 minutes, etc. We're just talking, hearing their story. And I'm like, wow, a lot of things, people only post so much on social media, right? Versus you have a longer conversation just by the nature of long form content. You're able to just discuss a lot more things and learn more about the person. And it's helped me develop more connections, more relationships, let's say on a deeper level versus just a follow, a comment, and a like. And I think that's cool because just like you said, it's like, wow, now I know so many people. I've heard so many different stories. I'm going through this, or I have questions about this. Wait, I remember this one guest I had. We talked about this. Let me reach out to that guest that I had before. Hey, you know what? And so now, you have a more, again, a deeper connection where before you're like, should I reach out to this person? Maybe not. I just follow them, but we don't really talk like that. And so I think that's, again, like what you said, it's like, this is what I consider the beautiful side of social media, the real side of social media, where you get to
Yeah.
talk to people, make real connections, learn more about them, and then you never know where that connection could lead you later on in life.
Right.
Because, like, wow, this person blew up and they were one of my first guests on the podcast. Wow, that's so cool. Or you just never know, and it's just cool
Yeah.
on that regard.
See, and that's the beautiful thing too, is that you start talking to somebody, you find that stuff where you're like, oh man, yeah, I like the way you said this or the way you worded this. And it's like, you all of a sudden somebody who you're like, oh, I don't know if I would really talk to them in person or I don't know if I would hang out with them. But then you're like, man, like they're actually really cool. Like they're a cool person who have like, they're down to earth. They're like grounded in how they say things and how they view the world. Because there's a lot of people out there that aren't. Like they have this almost like entitlement to them. And it's like, man, you got to get out of that. You got to get out of the victim mentality and the entitlement mentality. It just, man, we all exist. We're all people. We're all just human. We're all made of the same stuff, and we all just keep going day by day or day by day. It's
Yeah.
like no matter what happens, you keep moving on. And it's like that's the cool thing. Even like I had friends with I met at the gym that are like lifelong friends now, where they're like, I was scared to come up and talk to you because you always look mad or mean. I'm like, I'm just in the gym working out. Like I'm like in the zone, and like they start talking to me and we're laughing and stuff, and they're like, you're actually a cool person. I'm like, what'd you think I was? Like, come, like, I'm just a person. You never even talked to me. And they're like, well, you just look so mean and so like mad all the time. And you're so focused and like intense. I'm like, yeah, but I'm also going to joke about you and laugh and sing. And I'm going to sing Adele with you in the gym. Like
Hey, there you
we
go.
do. Trust me. We're going to scream someone like you in the gym. Okay. Or we're going to start singing and dancing and it's just like, but that's how you meet people. That's that connection with humans that I think a lot of people are missing. And yes, social media is like to blame, but it can also be a positive thing. Like people get so obsessed with looking at their phone. It's like you can look up and look around you. Stop spending so much time on your phone. Put your phone down, talk to somebody. Like when you go out to the store and you're grocery shopping, you're like, oh man, I like those shoes. Like maybe that is enough that saved that person that day. Maybe that was like, man, you know what though? I was in a bad place, but I started talking to this guy and then all of a sudden we were talking about whatever. And, it was just really nice. You can be nice to people. You can give somebody a compliment. If you're walking past somebody, be like, those are the best chips. Like Doritos are good, but have you tried this one? Like this is going to be where like you're going to love these. And
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
true.
something so stupid can be something so big for somebody. And especially with the positive side and like we talk about like having the dark side to yourself or having like that side where you struggle with mental health or depression or whatever. Maybe that somebody's something, and it's just something so small can be that big thing for someone. Or if you're walking out and you see them and you're like a kid at the work the other day, he's like, I like your shirt. And I'm wearing a My Hero Academia shirt. I'm like, I didn't even
Oh,
know like you
nice.
knew what it was. Like, cool. All right. And so we
That's so
started talking.
cool.
But it's like you don't realize how little of a thing that seems, but to somebody they can think that is huge. So never be afraid to just put your phone down and talk to a human. It's okay.
Yep, yep. No, I love it. Well said, David. As we come here almost to a close, it's been an
Yeah.
amazing conversation having you. I do want to leave you with one final question. I always like to ask my different guests on it. Let's say, with everything we've spoken about, sharing your story and everything you've overcome, if there was, let's say, one main takeaway that you would want people to take away from your story, someone listening to this, maybe they feel like at their rock bottom, etc., what would be that main takeaway you would want them to learn from your story and be impacted by?
Just keep moving forward. Don't focus on the negative, focus on the positive. There's always a positive. You can take whatever bad is going on in your life and you're going to find a positive. You just have to look for it and believe that it's there because it is there. There's always going to be a positive there. Focus on that, not the negative. Like no matter what you're going through, there is a positive side. You just got to look for it. Find that positive. And if you don't have like if you're struggling to find that positive thing, make a positive thing. Say, you know what, I want to learn guitar. Or, I've always wanted to learn this, or I've always wanted to, maybe it's you wanted to read more. Go get a new book. Just find that positive because there's always something out there that you're going to resonate with and that it's going to make you a better you. And, that's what we talk about, the grind part. You got to be better. Just focus on getting better for yourself because once you're better for yourself, it's going to be better for everyone around you too.
Well said. And you guys heard that here first on the G3X podcast. David, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Loved having you as a
Thank you for
guest.
having
Amazing
me.
story. If the audience wanted to find you on socials and give me your target, what platforms are you on? Where could they give you a follow?
I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. All of them are Davey Addict, ADICT, no two D's, just one D. Um, and I think some of them have an underscore, but I think if you just type in Davey Addict, I should come up on all of them.
And I'll make sure, guys, also, if you guys are listening or watching on either on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I'll have all the links in the description below. So definitely check that out. David, once again, thank you so much for being on the show. It was awesome
Yeah.
having you. Loved it. And wish everyone until the next episode. And as we like to say here at G3X, God, Gym, Grind. Peace out, everyone. Have a good one.
Peace out.